Welcome to this series of short videos on food safety. You will learn important things that you can do to protect your health and the health of your family and your community when handling, preparing, and storing food. The 4 segments will help you better understand safe food handling practices, first in the home, then while hunting and gathering, fishing, and finally at community events.
Why is food safety important? If you eat or serve food that has been contaminated, you and your family can get sick. You could have stomach cramps, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and fever. Sometimes people may think that they have the stomach flu, but it's actually food poisoning. Most people fully recover from food poisoning. However, if it's not treated early, it can result in chronic health problems. Pregnant women, young children, the elderly, and those with a weakened immune system are more likely to have a severe illness.
It's important to me that I know that the food I'm serving my family is safe to eat. At first, I wasn't quite sure what safe food handling meant, but after learning about it, I know that there are small things we can all do to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities.
There are many things you can do to help prevent food poisoning. Safe handling, preparation, and storage are important to preventing harmful bacteria from growing in foods. Now, let's talk about things you can do. Clean, separate, cook, and chill. Wash your hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds and rinse. This should be done before you start preparing food and after you are done. You should also wash your hands when you are cooking and in between handling different foods. For an example, if you cut up raw meat and then want to move on to preparing your vegetables. After using the washroom or changing diapers, after coughing, sneezing, or blowing your nose, after touching objects that may contain germs like garbage, money, and pets. It's also important to make sure that cooking surfaces and utensils are clean and sanitized before using them. You can do this by washing all pots and pans, dishes, and utensils in warm soapy water and rinsing thoroughly. Sanitizing work surfaces like cutting boards and counters before and after preparing foods, especially raw meat, poultry, eggs, or seafood. To sanitize, use a mild bleach solution. You can make this by mixing 1 teaspoon of bleach with 3 cups of water. It is better to use paper towels or clean cloths to wipe and clean kitchen surfaces, as sponges are harder to keep clean. It's important to take steps to avoid contamination from one food source to the other. This is called cross-contamination, and it can happen when harmful bacteria, parasites, or viruses are transferred from a person, object, or food preparation area onto the food. Cross-contamination can be avoided by following these practices. When you shop, separate raw meat, poultry, seafood, and their juices from other foods in the cart and in a grocery bag. When you store food, keep raw meat, poultry, and seafood on the bottom shelf of the refrigerator and in sealed containers to prevent their juices from dripping onto other food. When you prepare food, keep raw meat, poultry, seafood, and their juices separate from other foods. Use separate cutting boards for meats, fruits, vegetables, and ready-to-eat foods. Do not reuse marinades of raw meat, poultry, or seafood on cooked foods unless the marinades have been boiled. Use a spoon to taste food only once. Wash it with warm, soapy water, rinse, and sanitize before using it again. When you serve food, you should always use clean utensils. Another important thing you can do to help keep your food safe is controlling the temperature of food when you cook it, also when you reheat it. This prevents the growth of harmful bacteria. It's best to use a thermometer to make sure that the food is properly cooked. You can't just rely on the color or smell. Insert the food thermometer in the thickest part of the food to check if it is cooked to the recommended temperature. You can find information on the recommended temperature at healthycanadians.gc.ca/First Nations Food Safety. Wash and sanitize the food thermometer before and after use. When reheating food, it is important to bring liquids to a boil, like gravies, soups, or sauces. Reheat other leftovers or cooked foods at a minimum internal temperature of 74 degrees Celsius. When reheating food in a microwave, you should periodically stir, cover, and rotate dishes of food. This will help prevent cold spots that may lead to the growth of bacteria. The last topic in this segment that we are covering is chilling food. Chilling is important because harmful bacteria can grow rapidly in food when it's left in the danger zone of 4 to 60 degrees Celsius. To reduce the chances of this happening, chill fresh, cooked, or leftover food quickly and properly. This means that you should refrigerate or freeze cooked food within 2 hours, divide large amounts of food or big pieces of meat into smaller portions before cooling, place food on ice if a fridge is not available at the time, refrigerate hot foods in shallow pans or containers with space between them. This allows air to circulate, keeping the food at the right temperature, so don't overload the fridge. Hot items should be first cooled at room temperature, refrigerate once steaming stops, freeze foods in airtight, durable containers, food storage bags, freezer-grade foil, or freezer paper. Make sure your freezer is set at -18 degrees Celsius or lower and that your refrigerator is set at 4 degrees Celsius or lower. Eat refrigerated leftovers within 2 to 3 days or freeze them for later use. Thawing or defrosting frozen food is another time when bacteria can become active and multiply rapidly and cause food poisoning. To avoid this from happening, you should thaw food in the refrigerator. This is especially important for any meat, including game meat, as well as poultry and seafood. When you do this, place the food on a plate or a pan on the lowest shelf in the refrigerator so that the juices do not drip onto other foods. This will help avoid cross-contamination. To thaw food in cold water, submerge the food under the water in a sealed container or bag and change the water every 30 minutes until the food is thawed. You can also thaw food in the microwave. It is not recommended to refreeze food that has been thawed in the microwave or in cold water. The food must be cooked immediately. Well, that's it for this segment. For more information on cleaning, separating, cooking, and chilling food, visit healthycanadians.gc.ca/First Nations Food Safety, or talk to your local environmental health officer or your healthcare provider. Watch the other segments for information on food safety when you hunt and gather food, fish, and when you prepare food for community events.